you through this poster on information-theoretic analysis of regressions in naturalistic reading. So the main question we're focusing on here is, why do some people sometimes regress to previous material or previous words when they're reading? And a quick note on notation here, we'll use WS to talk about the source of a regression, WT to talk about the target, and this bold W, not T or S, to talk about the surrounding sentential context, so just the other words in a sentence. We'll be contrasting two theories for regressions, and I want to note that these are not necessarily mutually exclusive. So the first are reactivation hypotheses, which posit that regressions support or cue current word processing. And we operationalize or kind of formalize this hypothesis using the following probabilistic inequality. So we say that the reactivation hypothesis predicts that the probability of the source given the target should be greater than the probability of the source without the target. We contrast this with the reanalysis approach, which says that regressions are used to reanalyze material that has become implausible or about which the reader has fallen confidence. And we make the following probabilistic operationalization, which says that the probability of the target should be less in a context that includes the source than in a context that doesn't include the source. So the idea here is if that the source causes a fall in confidence about the target, then the presence of the source should make the probability of the target less likely. All right, now these probabilistic inequalities invite information-theoretic interpretation of regressions under these two theories. So just to give a brief example, the reactivation approach here, if we start with the inequality outlined previously, then by taking the log and kind of rewriting it, we can reformulate this inequality as saying that the pointwise mutual information between the target and the trigger should be greater than 0. That is, people should be regressing to words, if indeed regressions are used to support current word processing, then people should be regressing between words that are highly associated, i.e. that have a PMI of greater than 0. The reanalysis approach makes the opposite prediction. So it says that PMI between the target and the source should be negative or less than 0. We want to test these two predictions by looking at regressions in naturalistic reading. So what we do is we train a Poisson model to predict the number of regressions between each pair of words in naturalistic reading datasets, and we include a number of baseline predictors as well as either the positive pointwise mutual information or the negative pointwise mutual information as target predictors. And we measure the likelihood of the model on held out data. Just a few more experimental items. We estimate PMI from the BERT model using masking of either the trigger or the target, and we look at regressions from 3 corpora, the Dundee corpus, the UCL corpus, and the Provo corpus. Our results are very consistent and pretty strong across the corpora. On the y-axis here, you see the delta log likelihood, or the ability of the model to predict the number of regressions between words, and on the x-axis are the different models trained with our different kind of target predictors. The the red bars indicate models with positive pointwise mutual information, so the reactivation hypothesis, and the blue bars are showing negative pointwise mutual information, so the reanalysis hypothesis. We can see here that the bars with negative pointwise mutual information, or the bars with, let's start with the positive pointwise mutual information first, are not any better than baselines. However, the ones with negative pointwise mutual information, we see a consistent improvement over baselines. In addition to looking at the NPI and PMI themselves, we also look at the expected values of these measures taken across all possible realizations of the target of the regression under the hypothesis that readers may not be fully confident about the identity of the target. Overall, these results support the reanalysis theory for regressions, and our next steps here are to replicate this with a model that doesn't have access to the right context, which is the case with this BERT model that we used above. So thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to further discussion in the synchronous session and the Q&A.